with a health status update and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on and don't forget to like the video. Recalling how he felt after Big Show swung him in a stretcher in WWE in 2002, Rey Mysterio said this to CBS Sports. I remember we had gone over it and that was the plan. When I was strapped onto the stretcher, everything seemed cool. I said, how much can it hurt? The stretcher is hitting first and I'm attached to it, so I won't feel it. Well, we never thought about what happens when you hit. There was no way Big Show could hit the pole and hold on to me. So that whole weight and the momentum, and as soon as we hit, I went straight down. As I was strapped onto the stretcher, my head went boop and I hit first. That hurt. That in itself hurt very much. Recalling his victory over Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 40, Sami Zayn addressed the backlash to this, telling Arab News, I feel like the hardest thing to do nowadays is to have a memorable match and memorable moments that people will remember 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 years down the road. And I feel like that match against Gunther at WrestleMania 40 was good, if nothing else, because of how long he held the title. I feel like it'll be very well remembered, so I'm very proud of that. With Ivar of the Viking Raiders mentioning his previous issues with his tag team name with Eric in WWE, Ringside News noted that the WWE Universe erupted in discontent when the name Viking Experience was unveiled. Among those discontented was Viking Raider Ivar, who, along with a host of others, found the moniker displeasing. However, amidst the disapproval, there was reportedly one man who favored the name. Ivar and his tag team partner Eric had carved out their legacy as War Machine and the War Raiders during their tenure in NXT. However, their transition to the main roster in 2019 brought about a renaming that left many fans cringing. The transformation to the Viking Experience on Monday Night Raw was met with ridicule, with fans deeming the title as nothing short of absurd. Promptly following the backlash, a compromise emerged, birthing the name Viking Raiders, a nod to their former identity. Shedding light on the naming process, Ivar delved into the backstage discussions during an episode of the Insight podcast. Vince McMahon adores Vikings, so upon learning of an NXT team with a Viking persona, he was keen on their acquisition. Yes, I want them, he declared. He insisted on the inclusion of Viking in our name, but legal hurdles impeded any progress. There were already trademarked entities like the Vikings football team and the Vikings TV show. Every proposed name hit a legal dead end. And then, in a meeting, someone, I won't disclose who, was asked what defines them, describe their essence, and a response was offered. They're this, they're that, they're like a Viking experience. That was it. They became the Viking Experience. However, apart from that unnamed individual, no one was content with the choice. Yet we were stuck with it. The discontent reverberated not just among fans, but within the backstage corridors as well, save for the solitary supporter. The decision to amend the name in response to fan outrage demonstrated a rare instance of WWE heeding the sentiments of its audience, a departure from the norm. Subsequently, the Viking Raiders ascended, clinching the Raw Tag Team Championships and cementing their status as one of WWE's premier teams on the main roster. Grading the first 5 years of AEW as a company, commentator of the promotion Jim Ross said this to Busted Open Radio. Probably a solid B. A lot of things that can be improved upon, like anybody else's company. AEW's challenge right now, to me, is creating new stars. Somebody on the board has got to get hot. That's going to be what they need now. Somebody has got to get hot. I'm not going to go into all the reasons why somebody is not and all that dirt sheet stuff. We just have to get somebody hot. These pay-per-views like this Sunday night in Vegas, these kids rise to the occasion on these pay-per-views. They really do. I was concerned about going to work for a startup because I had done that before. I'm really glad that I did. Talking about the late Bray Wyatt's influence in WWE, AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland told Adrian Hernandez Bray was a master of pacing and intrigue. Before his television return, he left barcodes and small clues everywhere. These elements, like a rabbit in the background or a puppet here and there, were designed to maintain viewer interest. In today's fast-paced society, it's challenging to capture and hold attention, but Bray's patience and meticulous planning were remarkable. All the creative elements and intricate details were his brainchild. I deeply appreciated his innovative mind. Even though I didn't share the locker room with him for long, his influence was profound. The impact of his presence and ideas has inspired me both personally and professionally. Staying on this topic, Bray Wyatt's father, Mike Rotunda, gave credit to The Undertaker for his role in Bray's WWE documentary, telling the Ringer Wrestling podcast, "Taker is a great guy. I was so happy that he wanted to do the documentary. Obviously, he did a great job. It meant a lot to our family, and I'm sure it would have meant a lot to Wyndham." When it comes to Drew McIntyre's role as a locker room leader in WWE, Ringside News wrote that in a recent interview with Mike Johnson of PW Insider, Drew McIntyre discussed the current state of leadership within WWE. Reflecting on his time with WWE Hall of Famer The Undertaker, McIntyre noted that leadership is now shared among several individuals. "I think there are a few leaders now, not just one specific person. When someone has been around for a long time, people recognize them as a leader. When I was there with Taker, it was very clear without him saying a word. He carried himself in a way that everyone knew he was the leader." Roman, when he was full-time, had a similar aura. He was cool, in control, and had wrestled at the top level for so long. Even though I'd been around longer, he had that same kind of Taker vibe. Now, there are several of us who share that leadership role. Drew McIntyre also shared insights about his leadership style, describing himself as a quieter leader who offers advice when approached by other wrestlers and rarely puts his foot down unless it's detrimental to the show. "I'd say I'm a quieter leader. I don't force my opinion unless it's genuinely necessary for the show. Most of the time, wrestlers come to me for advice, and I'm there for anyone who wants my opinion." Having come up through the system, gotten fired to find himself, been part of the independent scene, and experienced both the old and new ways of the business, I have some advice to give. You can take it or leave it, because ultimately you have to find what works for you. I take advice from everyone and keep what works for me, discarding what doesn't. Speaking about an upcoming TV rights deal for AEW with Warner Brothers Discovery, president of AEW, Tony Khan, told Sports Illustrated it's a really exciting time for AEW. We're in active negotiations for the AEW media rights. Warner Bros. Discovery continues to be the best possible partner, and they've helped us grow this brand. It's going to be a very exciting remainder to this year, and we'll find out where AEW is going to live. For everyone who cares about AEW all over the world, we're in a great position. This is going to work out really well for AEW. We're having great talks, and people should feel very confident about what that means for the wrestlers, the staff, and the fans. As a result of everyone's hard work and endless support from the fans, there will be a tremendous deal for AEW. The outlook for the company is so bright moving forward. Talking about how he felt when Tony Khan was on the receiving end of a pile driver from the Young Bucks, Bryan Danielson said this to Sports Illustrated. When they got him up for the spike tombstone pile driver, I was just hoping Tony was okay. I was hoping he would protect his head. More and more people are using pile drivers, and there's more and more head drops, so we train specifically in the BCC for how to escape those unscathed. Tony doesn't have any of that training. He's not a wrestler. My first concern was Tony's health. On the AEW Unrestricted podcast, Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks revealed that he felt many take the company for granted. As he said, it's a big night. I mean, 5 years ago, we stood on that stage and we welcomed everybody to the first Double or Nothing, a show name that we created actually to see how far AEW has come, how much we've grown in those 5 years. It's amazing, and I think a lot of people take it for granted. This is unprecedented what one company, a baby company like AEW, has done in half a decade. It blows my mind. Sometimes I have to sit back and go, wow, and take it all in. In this business, we go from town to town, from show to show. We don't get a chance to really smell the roses and enjoy and take it all in, and this is huge. I think one day when we're all retired and we're all old, we're going to look back, we're finally going to be able to go, wow, and to think that me and Nicholas did all on our own. That's really humbling and really cool, and it makes me very happy. Addressing his body transformation over the years, WWE King of the Ring Gunther said this to Metro UK. I was aware of how big I was, but now looking at the pictures, I'm surprised how big it was, if that makes sense. But no, I think it was fine for the time back then, and it was the right choice. And yeah, obviously health-wise, it's way better now, and I feel better in the ring. It's been a good thing doing it. When it comes to Cody Rhodes and his future in acting, Ringside News wrote that a few days ago it was revealed that Rhodes was making his way to Hollywood very soon. The star, according to an update from Deadline, is set to make cameo appearances in the upcoming Naked Gun reboot. However, the extent of his role and the character is yet to be known. While Rhodes has a Hollywood project signed, a new update from PW Insider states that Rhodes is being represented in the acting industry by WME. Rhodes has reportedly been working with WME for about 4 weeks now and is being represented by the company in Hollywood. With this update, it is clear that Endeavor has a massive plan for Rhodes in the future. In the past, WME has represented stars like The Rock, Logan Paul, Ronda Rousey, and John Cena in the Hollywood industry. With Rhodes added to this list, it would be interesting to see how things play out for the American Nightmare in the coming months. Explaining how he feels physically at this point in his career, Randy Orton told Caleb Braxton, "I'll be honest with you, I put on some weight, and I feel like I'm at my natural weight right now. This is how much I was meant to weigh, and I think it's because I got my back fixed. My training was able to change. I changed a few things with the diet, but I gotta be honest with you, I'm in my early 40s. I haven't felt this good since I was in my early 20s. Yeah, I mean, my back has been giving me problems for a very long time, and I had amazing doctors. Shout out to Dr. Adam Cantor. Thank you, sir. I owe you my back. Because of him and his team, I feel stronger than ever." During that same interview, Randy Orton said this regarding Triple H being the head of WWE's creative department. Like I was talking about Kevin Owens and family and how we have that in common, our family comes first. With Triple H, it's the same thing. That's one of the main things I see. I'll be able to do this, and I love doing this. I'll be able to do it for a very long time because of Triple H. He's the guy for the job, man. He just knows the right thing to do, whether it's in the ring or outside the ring. Giving a health update on Darby Allin following his participation in the main event Anarchy in the Arena match at Double or Nothing, Bryan Alvarez said this on Wrestling Observer Radio. Darby, his nose was messed up during the match. They were worried that it might be broken again, but apparently he had an MRI and it's alright. So that's also good news. But was looking, last night, his foot, I don't think it's any worse than it was going in. I mean, I don't know what you saw on television, but they hit his music. Initially, he started sprinting out from backstage, and then I think they realized, whoa, and he starts limping bad. He was limping. I'm sure his foot is still hurting, but the thing was, I think that, when you hang somebody upside down, that can actually be super dangerous because all the blood starts rushing to your head, and you don't want to be upside down for a long time. And here's a guy with a busted up nose, with a broken nose, upside down hanging, and it was probably excruciatingly painful, but apparently he got the clean bill today, so that's good. Touching on early plans for the Forbidden Door event between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, Fightful Select said that we're told by NJPW sources that multiple names had been mentioned as the AEW World Title Challenger for Forbidden Door. However, we've also been told that outside-the-box options have been considered as it relates to the pay-per-view. Expect to see more New Japan wrestlers pop up in the coming weeks as soon as this week. We're also told other familiar faces will be popping up in AEW. Mentioning his perspective on Liv Morgan, Eric Bischoff noted on his 83 Weeks podcast, "There's something missing with Liv. I don't know what it is. She's obviously a gorgeous woman. She's in great shape. Her work in the ring is excellent. There's just something missing, and what I feel is missing in Liv exists in spades in Becky Lynch. There's just an inherent, natural, authentic charisma in Becky Lynch that isn't forced. It isn't a gimmick. It's just something in her." And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.